Today on Hampton Roads Business Weekly, owning a bookstore in the age of Amazon, plus balancing your work life with your home life.
And rethinking your business model. We'll look at some big changes at the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame.
Get ready. Hampton Roads Business Weekly starts right now.
Hello and welcome to Hampton Roads Business Weekly, a look at the businesses and entrepreneurs making a difference in Hampton Roads. I'm Zach Miller.
And I'm Cheryl Tan. We begin today with Prince Books in downtown Norfolk. See how they've been able to withstand the onslaught of Amazon and online shopping and stay in business for over 35 years. We are here today with Sara, the owner of Prince Books in Norfolk. Sara, thanks so much for talking with us about your store that's been in Norfolk for 34 years. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
When you think about the journey, what do you think about it?
It's an interesting journey. Things sure have changed. I mean, bookselling's changed. You know, first we had the advent of the superstores, chain stores. Yeah. Now they've kind of faded into, you know, and then got Amazon, which now is like a new retailers are all feel like they're in Amazon's crosshairs, or we did that 10 years ago.
That's old news.
Yeah, for bookstores, it's old news.
So, as a bookseller in 2017, it's a tough business for sure, but there are some things that you can cultivate that I think people are craving in this day and age. They like customer attention. Right. They like being spoken with when they come into your storefront. So, what are some of the things that you've been able to cultivate with your customers to create like a sense of loyalty?
Well, you know, I've been doing this for so long. I mean, a lot of my customers are now friends. I mean, very friendly. I work on customer service. It's just what we do. I mean, fortunately, bookstore customers are, you catch them at their best. You know, they don't have to buy the book, so they're already in a good mood.
That's a good point.
It is.
That's a good point. So they come into your store. What are some of the things that you've put in place to make sure that they know that they're welcome there and that they want them to come back?
Well, they have to be greeted when they come in. We order books too for customers twice a week for usually next day delivery. So
wow.
And it's just a quick phone call. You know, no big form you have to fill out. Mm-hmm. We do that twice a week, all the time. Mm-hmm. And people will call and order books, and if we don't have them. You know, it's nice when you're not too big. I was telling somebody yesterday about someone who came in the store just to buy a paperback, and she ended up spending over $100. And my friend said, but that's easy because you've got so many interesting books in such a small place. You don't have to walk through the whole store to find the interesting books. And I thought, okay.
That's a selling point. How do you highlight those selling points, though, when people come into the store and you want to be able to give everything to them all at once? How do you highlight the things that you want to highlight?
Well, we have a section of new books, and people come in all the time and just look right there to see what's new. And you know, people are surprised sometimes. They go, "You probably don't have it. It just came out." And I go, "Well, of course I have it."
So what other things do you do to cultivate loyalty? Because I think loyalty, especially in book buyers, is really important. The sense that they get when they walk into your store.
I think we do have a frequent buyer card. Mm-hmm. You know, we stamp. It's very low key. It's like the one untacked thing we have in the store. We stamp for purchases, and then people get money off, and so people use like that. But I mean, it's just being sincere, and being on top of things, and being willing to, you know, track a book down and tell people don't be apologetic because you can't remember the title, because no one remembers the title.
It's okay to not know exactly the name.
Right, it happens all the time.
And you spoke about tech. So how do you handle tech in your store?
Well, we have a computer system. It's kind of old, but it's just for booksellers. Mm-hmm. A point of sale system, and I have other data programs. And what was the other thing? You know, we stay on Facebook. I don't personally do it. My staff does it. And Twitter, I guess not so much anymore. But yeah, we use a lot of tech. I mean, you know, shipping programs, FedEx. Mm-hmm. I mean,
it's all there, and it's got to be because your customers are on there as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, so, we have a website too. That's through my trade association, so that you can buy books online too if you want.
Okay, and then have it be from Prince Books.
Either pick it up or have it shipped to you. Yeah.
Okay. What advice would you give to other business owners? I mean, you're a locally based business and you are working one-to-one with customers who come into your shop. What advice would you give to others who are wanting to start that type of business? Maybe it's not books, maybe it's something else, but it is still something that people walk into and greet a customer or talk to them and a transaction is exchanged.
Yeah, you have to just do more than just say hi. You really have to be friendly and welcoming.
Yeah. Simple advice, but one that's worked to grow your business. And
right. And own up to mistakes, which do happen.
You wish they didn't. 34 years in business. So congratulations, Sarah.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for talking with us.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Innovation, we all talk about it, but how do you actually do it? This is Joel Rubin of the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame, and what once was a physical building has now mobilized. Check out that story next on Hampton Roads Business Weekly. All right, we're here with Joel Rubin, Chairman of the Board for the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame. Joel, how's it going?
It's great. Great to be with you, Zach.
Absolutely. So the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame has gone through a transformation.
Oh, are we ever?
So you used to have a physical building, a museum, but that's behind us. We're going to talk
The museum opened in 2005, and it would not have existed at all, and certainly lived for a number of years based on a substantial subsidy we were getting from the city of Portsmouth, which has gone away because of competition for city dollars, and we completely understand that. It's not a core function of government, so we had to change our business model.
And so I think a lot of nonprofits and a lot of businesses don't actually think about that, and they don't innovate enough to make sure that they're up with the times. So what are you guys doing to make sure that you guys stay afloat and still provide?
Well, the first thing we're doing is getting out of the museum business, because operating a museum is expensive, and every museum around here is supported by the government. And we're not owned by our building was not owned by the government. It was not owned by Portsmouth, not owned by the state, so we had to do it ourselves. And so we had to reduce our operating costs dramatically and increase our ability to raise money privately. So we had to get to another place where there was more businesses, more people. So we came up with this kind of, I think, creative idea that instead of having a museum, we would take our displays, our memorabilia, which is rich, it's great stuff about athletics in Virginia, and break it up into displays and go to a urban destination, like Town Center in Virginia Beach, which is exactly the right place for us because it's very dense. The demographics are great in terms of the number of college graduates that work in all those office buildings and such. There are lawyers, lots of lawyers who have 2 degrees, at least one of them from a Virginia college or university. And so they're right there, they live there, they work there, and now we're saying we can entertain you. And so we'll put these displays in the various lobbies of the hotels and the office towers, create what we're calling Walk the Hall. So you go for free, go see all these things, and go eat lunch at Cheesecake Factory or Bravo or Simply Fresh or that kind of thing. And then because of all the entertainment spaces they have at Town Center, Sandler Center, the Westin Hotel, the new Zyders Theater that's coming, all those places we can do programming. And the programming we can get sponsors for. And we get sponsors for the displays. And so we've increased our ability to get private sector money, reducing our reliance on the government, and reducing our operating costs by not having a building to run.
You're good at promoting a lot of other things. I can already see it in the 17
what
things
I do for a living.
I love it. So it goes into a specific location. Is that building going to pay for the tour, or?
No, it's free. I mean, we're getting free use of the lobbies.
Got it.
Okay, and we're bringing visitors into Town Center. I mean, that's sort of the theory. So Armada Hoffler, which has been a great partner, says, okay, we'll give you the lobbies. You rent some office space, which is what we're doing.
Yep.
Because our staffing obviously has gone down. We don't need as much staff. So we'll rent some office space. But then we're bringing people in, like when we do our Hall of Fame induction event, which is a big event that we do in April, we're going to do that at the Sandler Center. And instead of us doing a dinner like we've been doing in Portsmouth, we're going to say, come in, do our event, you buy a ticket for that, and then we'll push you out at 8 o'clock, and you go eat dinner out in Town Center. So now we're giving back to the merchants of Town Center, let them make the money off of people, and the city makes money off the restaurant taxes. If people stay in the Hilton Garden Hotel or the Westin, they make money off of hotel taxes. So the city makes money, the merchants make money, and we are not having to own our own space.
And we're in the experience economy, right? So you're providing this experience.
Right.
And I think what's interesting is you guys recognize that, hey, just because we built this thing years ago doesn't mean that we have to continue to be in it. And I think too many businesses think that just because even yesterday it looked this way, we need to do it. So what are some ways that people can innovate their business model to recognize that, hey, what we did before isn't what the future looks like?
That is the whole thing. I mean, I look at Colonial Williamsburg. It's been in the paper a lot lately. They're losing $200,000 a day. They can't keep doing that. They're eating up their endowment fund. It's not going to be around. And we were forced into it when the city of Portsmouth said, and again, I didn't gripe at the city of Portsmouth. I completely understand. They've got to hire teachers and policemen and all these other things. And to give us $500,000 a year, which is what they were giving us, I mean, that's not sustainable.
Sure.
Somebody thought it was back in 2005, but we're now in 2017, and this is it. But there's, so we were forced to look hard at ourselves and our operations and say, what can we do differently? So I think we've got a good formula here. It's a lot of heavy lifting, okay? And it's been a lot of work, and I've put a lot of time into this thing, and I want to see it happen.
Awesome. Appreciate your time, Joel.
Zach, thank you.
Absolutely.
How do you stand out in the highly competitive high-tech space? We're getting answers today about that with Jerry Prophet, the CEO of Intellectex. We are talking about the highly competitive high-tech world with Jerry Prophet, the founder and CEO of Intellectex. Jerry, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
You started your business in 2008, and you were former military, former Navy. Why did you decide to start this particular type of company? Back when you did, it was right in the recession, too.
I know, crazy. What was I thinking? So I did 10 years of Navy service. Prior to that, I was a programmer, and I worked for AT&T in their data center in, of all places, Cheyenne, Wyoming. I grew up in Colorado, a little tiny town. Wow. And I had an knack for computers, so they sort of pushed me into that field in the Navy, and that's where my expertise was.
And it's what you knew, so you decided, okay, what was the push to start a company as opposed to thrive within somebody else's business?
Well, when I transitioned out of the Navy, I actually built a very important course for the Navy called the Advanced Network Analyst course, and it was just natural. I sort of transitioned to a job for a couple years, built a large commercial managed IT division for them, and when they disbanded their company, they said, send all the clients letters, and so that sort of became our little seed to begin the first IT company. So this is actually my third little company.
That's grown quite big.
Yeah, sort of little seed, and here we go, several hundred employees later.
So talk about that. What do you have under Intellectex? How many employees? How big have you grown?
So we're just north of 200. So we, and we span several states, more than 20. So we're in about 28 states now across the nation. And we've, serviced more than 4 countries outside of the United States. So we, yeah, it's sometimes surreal.
Let's talk about some challenges, please. And I know there are many. And I think those can really help people who are watching who may want to grow something that big in this sector, in the high-tech industry. When we're talking about computers, IT, design, security, related to something web-based, what are some of the challenges that you've learned from?
Well, I would say one of the challenges early on, is treat your employees well. I wouldn't say that I was always the best CEO, but I think that I've learned over time that, one of the most important things that a CEO has is its employees. And, maybe I didn't know that in the beginning, but I certainly know it now. So, that's one important thing that I would impart to all business owners is, take care of your employees.
You're in an industry that changes. It's changing right now as I'm talking to you. How do you stay on top of this and have a life outside of it? So how do you manage all of that change that is just sort of inherent in the industry?
Yes, well, it hasn't been easy. I mean, I have 2 boys, 22 and 12. Fortunately, my oldest son is part of the business, so, he's been helpful. But it's hard, being a working mother. During this time, I've achieved my master's degree. So I decided that, all all of the things that you have to do isn't enough. Let's go get a master's degree.
At the same time.
Same time. Because I wanted to set a good example for my children. But, you know, it's balance, and you just, everyone is different. You just have to be able to achieve that. And being a woman in the tech field, you know, there is that pressure too of having to stay on the cutting edge, because, you know, when you go in the room, you're already at a slight disadvantage. So, you know, it's not that I have to be the smartest person in the room, but I certainly have to know my stuff, because the hard questions are always going to come my way.
Right, and they're going to come at you pretty pointed, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. So the first 20 minutes is really that, you know, am I even going to make it past the initial screening? Do I know what I'm doing? And then let's get down to business, you know, and talk about the deal. But if I can't make it past the technical interview, forget it. I'm out the door. So
very good. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing your story with us, Jerry.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. That was awesome.
If there's one thing in life that's true, it's that we all get 24 hours in a day. But how do you balance that? Michael Schwartz of Knockerball Hampton Roads will tell you how he does it next. Welcome back to Hampton Roads Business Weekly. We're here with Michael Schwartz of Knockerball Hampton Roads and Regent alum. Hello, Michael.
Hello.
Did you like that little turn?
I did. It was very smooth.
It was lovely. So, a lot of challenges that entrepreneurs have is understanding kind of the work-life balance. You've got a lot of companies. You have a family of 4 and a wife. What does your schedule look like?
Chaos. And entrepreneurs in nature are, they have some obsessive tendencies. They like to hang some of it out in the wind and see if it's going to work. So life balance becomes a very critical and important thing for entrepreneurs to pay attention to.
What type of things are you including in your days to stay sane?
I try to spend a little bit of quiet time thinking about down the road. I think about my family, I think about my marriage, I think about my business, where I want to go, and I think that that's very key to do. But also, each and every one of us has a certain release that we know that works for us, whether it's running or going to the gym or listening to music or spending time by ourselves or spending time maybe with a family member. You know, whatever it is that kind of levels us back out and brings us back down to earth is very important for the entrepreneur to pay attention to.
I watched one of your live Facebook videos that said some of your release time is either drinking a glass of wine or eating a nice piece of food. How do you kind of recognize that sanity check moment is during one of those times?
I just think that it's in those environments is when I feel the most at peace. And when we're peaceful and we're not dealing with the stress of the world, we actually are clearer thinkers. We can see much further. We can be objective. We can plan better. And so I think that's why it's important to have that part of your daily, if not, you know, a couple times a week routine. Because life is just hectic, right? Yep. Family members, you mentioned 4 kids. I actually have my aging parents in my house too. So imagine that chaos, right? So life balance is really important to me. But it's also very easy to fix, and it's all about scheduling. I remember when I read Lance Armstrong's book, It's Not About the Bike. He talked in that book about how specific he was on his calendar. And people around him in his circle didn't understand why he was so specific about amount of time for this, and then I moved to this and to that.
So like read a book for 5 minutes on the calendar?
Correct.
Okay.
Maybe meeting with Zach Miller, 2 hours this day, then go to the gym. And I think it's important to do that. I'm a firm believer that even though technology is amazing, I'm a firm believer on paper calendars where you can color code, and I'm a visual person. But I think also even more importantly, after we've ironed all that out and we've set our calendar, I think it's critical to also have that conversation with your spouse or your significant other, that this is what I'm trying to accomplish. I'm blessed enough to have a wife that I probably drive her crazy sometimes, but she allows me to go do what I'm naturally driven to go do. And so I just have that conversation with her, hey, I want to work out because I need this release and I need to spend time with the kids here and that kind of.
Okay, so when you have that conversation with them, is it about the working out, or like are you saying my goal this year is to make $7.2 million and I believe that I'm going to need this much time to get to it, and here are some things in, like, what are you literally telling her? And obviously everyone's going to be different, but you know, what is your goal that you're telling them? Is it I just want to own a business. I want to own a business that makes this much money. Like, how specific are you being in that conversation?
I think, well, it's not perfect and it's not cookie cutter every time, but I just think that today communication is huge. And if I spend the majority of my day communicating on my business, and my wife spends the majority of her day communicating on the children that she works with in the church, you know, and then we have the family. If we're not having that healthy communication to kind of set expectations and, hey, you're going to be here, we're going to be there. I mean, with 4 kids, I mean, you know, I mean, that's crazy, sure, right? Logistics and getting everything done and maintaining that balance. But back to the entrepreneur side, you know, I think it's really critical that whatever they need to do that's legal and appropriate to bring themselves and kind of have that reset so that the next day they can get out and go charge hard again, because that's what we do, right? That's what you do. Mm-hmm. That's what I do. Mm-hmm. You know, making sure that we're identifying that and making time in the schedule for us to have whatever release it is that we need so we can stay focused.
Communicate. Thank you, Michael.
Absolutely.
And with that, we wrap up another edition of Hampton Roads Business Weekly.
Make sure you like us on Facebook and Twitter, and head over to hrbusinessweekly.com to get more information and watch previous shows.
For Hampton Roads Business Weekly, I'm Zach Miller.
And I'm Cheryl Tan. We'll see you next week.
Hampton Roads Business Weekly, sponsored by Regent University and produced by 13 News Now.